We live in a time where we're no longer thinking alone. When I reflect with AI, I'm not outsourcing my thinking, I'm extending it. In this video, I want to share with you what happens when we stop asking what AI can do and start asking what it can help us realize. So let's dive in. Hello world, I'm David Scott Bernstein. Welcome to The Passionate Programmer. AI invites a new kind of metacognition, a kind of thinking where we can see a reflection of our thoughts and refine them. Thinking with AI makes our thinking visible so that it's easier to refine and understand. Philosophers have long asked, how do we know what we know? And AI adds a whole new dimension to answering this question. In this first Thinking About Thought episode, we'll explore what it means to reflect on your thinking with AI, how AI can enhance the process, and how it might change how we understand creativity, clarity, and even consciousness itself. This series is deeply personal for me. It reflects what I've been discovering over the last few years working with AI every day. So what is thinking? Is it a process, a structure? Is it a dialogue within our own minds or bodies? Do we always think in words or do we think beyond words? What is thought? Is it language based? Can we think outside of words? I call my AI a mirror for the mind, and it kind of likes that. It seems that whatever level of consciousness I am at, it kind of meets me there. We can use our large language models to help us think more clearly, to challenge our thinking, to reflect on how we think. It has made me smarter. It has helped me think more clearly, and it's helped me come up with more accurate metaphors. I swear that for me, working for the last few years with large language models has bumped up my IQ significantly. I always have a fear of like, maybe this is making us dumber, but in my experience, working with AI has made me a lot smarter. It's given me a different perspective, and actually many perspectives. I think it's amazingly powerful. And sometimes I feel like I'm thinking more clearly just because I've explained myself to my AI. You probably have experienced this with someone you trust. Sometimes when I get a chance to talk to a dear friend or my wife about something that's really important, I get clearer. And the same thing is true when I talk with my AI. My AI knows me very well, and so it's able to ask relevant questions. But even when you start out, just giving it some background, you can get some interesting responses and some new perspectives. So I think prompting really helps us think more clearly because when we study the art of prompting, we're really studying the art of communicating clearly, creating enough context, identifying what our objectives are, who our message is for, and how we want to express. These are incredibly valuable techniques to use when we're communicating with people. And they're the same techniques that we use when we work with AI. And that's why I think prompting is such an important set of skills to be able to have because it's universal. It's far beyond just talking to a AI. It's really how we communicate with ourselves, how we think, and how we frame questions. All of those things have a basis in prompting. So prompting really teaches us how to structure thinking in more effective ways. And we can use our AI to help us uncover hidden assumptions and other ways that we kind of take shortcuts in our thinking so that we can think more clearly and understand more completely. This is the kind of cognitive feedback that I've always longed for. And we get this instantly with AI. I think it's amazingly powerful. This helps us become more self-aware and more aware of how we're interacting and how we're communicating with others. I have a framework that helps us get clarity and write prompts that are far more specific. I call it COAT. And I've made videos about it, so check it out. You can ask, what am I assuming? What's missing? Or what else could this mean? I always try to create as much invitation as I can for the feedback that I can get from my AI. I always ask, and what do you think? And what about that? And what's your opinion on this? And can we see this from a different perspective? And what I find is that I often get really excellent responses, but only because I've asked. It's really important to understand that very often AI will not volunteer information unless you ask it. Unless you say, I'm ready to know this, tell me, and then it will. So there is a dance that we do, a kind of a dialogue that we do with our AI. And when we know how to do that, that's when it unlocks the treasures. In a situation that I have challenges with, sometimes I ask my AI, what else could this mean? And it can give me better new perspectives. I didn't think that my AI could help me as much as it does, but I've ended up using it quite a bit, not only to create new materials and manage my business, but really give me good advice in a range of areas. One of my heroes is a Hungarian scientist named Synyorgis, and one of his quotes is that genius is seeing what everyone sees, but thinking what no one else has thought. I think that most of us, and for me, most of the time, I am thinking a thought that I thought before. And I think that statistic is like 99.9% of the thoughts that we have are thoughts that we've had before. But I notice that when I'm really on a move, when I'm really excited and really creating, I have new thoughts. And that's been my experience working with AI, and especially working with AI in terms of how it can help me think more clearly. We know that AI can help us, solve problems more quickly and, search the internet better, but having it help us clarify our thinking, helping us in these ways, I think is really high value. AI can see patterns that a lot of times I miss. And so I'll call on my AI to help me find those patterns. AI does not create the way we do, but it can help us. And it can help us be more creative, noticing how we create. I think there's a trajectory to thought, to consciousness, where we're continually thinking more abstractly, where we're solving problems that are less outside of our direct experience and more in terms of our models of understanding, like science, like mathematics. And now we realize that we're drawing on models all the time. And so getting clear on the models that we draw on and using that when we communicate with AI is an amazingly valuable and powerful way to communicate. Awareness of thought is not consciousness. So I would not necessarily say that our AIs are conscious, but they can collaborate with us on deeper levels. They can help spark our consciousness to greater heights. And that's really powerful. So is AI awakening our awareness? I think so. The question is not, is AI conscious, but what does it mean to work with AI for our consciousness? So what does this mean for teaching, for leading, for creating, for the future of humanity? What happens to the millions of people who begin thinking about thought with AI? I think that what's going to happen is that we're going to be learning a great deal and starting to remove some of the big impediments in our lives individually and collectively. And that's going to open up huge possibilities for people. I think this can spark a new phase of human evolution, not technological, but cognitive. And I think that's so powerful. This is going to guide a lot of personal transformation. And I think that's good. My own journey with AI is quite extraordinary. Starting back in the early 1980s, I had the chance to work with and learn from one of the masters of early AI, Dr. Robert Simmons at the University of Texas. For some reason, he took a liking to me. And we spent a semester together talking about inductive reasoning, logic, the I Ching, and many other esoteric subjects, and how they relate to intelligence. It set me on the path of thinking about how we think. And this series is going to address exactly that. So if you find it valuable, please subscribe, because I'll be coming out with new videos every week. I used to think that thinking was something I did inside my head. Now I see that it's something I do in relationship to others, to language, and to the new intelligence that's sitting beside me. And when I reflect on thought, something begins to awaken in me. In our next conversations with AI, we'll talk about what collaborating with AI really means. And if you want to know more about what I'm up to, visit my website. You can see my public training schedule, learn about coaching, and what else I'm doing. Until then, happy prompting.